In this video, we're going to take a look how to add a new inventory item to your game. So the first thing you need to do is have some sort of visual representation. So in our case, we're going to grab a new model called Collectible that's been added to the project. So it's just a little box with a heart and some text on it. So we'll drag and drop that into the world. Now, inventory items behave very much the same way as pickup type items. So it's basically a thing you can pick up and look at, but you can also store it in your inventory and then bring it back out later and use it and things like that. Next, you want to add two separate components to your object. So the first thing you want to add is a box collider or some other type of collider. So we'll add a box collider, and then we're also going to add our inventory item script. And that will add a bunch of other stuff automatically, like audio source, rigid body, and change some other parameters, so don't worry about that. The only thing you need to worry about for the inventory specifically is the type of inventory and then its configuration options, flavor text, and things like that. To configure the inventory item type, you'll need to add a new item type for each unique inventory item in your game. So you actually have to go and open the script called Inventory Manager and add the new type to this enum like so and save. And now you go back to Unity and you select item type. The new item type will be there, so you assign that. Next is the inventory quantity. We'll leave that as 1 because we don't want this to be a pack of game collectibles. We want it to be a single game collectible, so we'll leave it as 1. There'll be 1 that goes in the inventory. For additional sounds, we're going to leave that blank. This will play the standard inventory get sound. If we wanted something to be, say, tied to an achievement and have a special magical sound or whatever, you could assign a special unique sound just for that object being picked up when the player gets that inventory object. For interaction options, we want pickup to be permitted, of course. There might be a case where you don't want the player to be able to pick something up. They can only grab it and put it in an inventory, maybe a piece of paper or like a passcode or something. That if that was the case, you would uncheck that. But in this case, we want the player to kind of be able to inspect it and then put it in their inventory, so we'll leave pickup permitted checked. Next is the permitted actions. So there's 3 actions the player can take with a piece of inventory. They can hold it, meaning they can take it out of their inventory, put it back in their hand. They can drop it, which they take out of their inventory and just kind of toss it in front of them. And then consumed is for things that can be, say, like eaten, like an apple. If you consume it, you can fire an event or create an object, like an apple core, let's say, if the player eats it, and then fire some other events, like maybe increase player's health, cast a spell, something like that. To ensure that our inventory item can be saved and loaded as part of the game saving process, we need to edit one more file. So if you open the object type lookup file, there's a little dictionary in here that has basically prefabs mapped to inventory types. So if we have our new inventory type, we can just copy and paste from the last type in here. And then we're going to change our collectible to something called demo collectible, which is the name of the prefab. So in order for that to work, we need to go back to Unity and rename our object demo collectible. And then we need to put that prefab in a special folder inside resources called inventory items. So if you look at your project under assets, first person exploration kit, resources, there's a subfolder called inventory items, and that's where all inventory prefabs need to go. So we'll drag and drop our collectible over there, and we'll delete it for good measure, and then put it back in the world. So there's our inventory object that's configured fully. It can be saved and loaded, and it should work as we expect it to. A quick note about the resources folder. If you have another folder in your game that's separate from the first person exploration kit folder, say it's called My Game Content, you can also have a resources folder inside of that. So as long as your inventory is in a resources folder and in a subfolder called inventory items, then it'll work as expected. You don't have to have them all in the resources subfolder of the first person exploration kit assets folder. They can be in any resources folder. If we run our scene, you might notice there was a problem with the pivot on this object. It was at the bottom, so I've changed the model so the pivot is in the center, so that when we inspect it, it'll rotate nicely about the center. So if we run our scene with our new prefab inventory object, we can see it says game collectible, and we have some options on the bottom right. We can take it, we can pick it up, and we can zoom in. So if I pick it up like a normal pickup type, I can look at it and rotate it around, kind of look at the details, and then I can throw it down again. But if I want to put it in my inventory, I just hit the R key or the Y on the Xbox controller, and now that goes into my inventory. So if I open the inventory up with escape, I can see here that I have a generic, like a key, but I should have, I would expect an image of my collectible. So the reason that happened is that the image in the inspector, we didn't assign that. So what happened is that the image got defaulted to this generic key image. So we'll take a look at how we can take a picture of our inventory object and then format it in a way that looks nice inside the inventory screen. There's a special scene that ships with this asset that's located in this scenes utility folder, and it's called inventory image capture, and that will assist with us creating a nice image that we want to put inside of our inventory screen for each object. So if we open that scene up, you can see there's already an apple in here, but we want to take a picture of our game collectible. So I will grab the model, not the prefab, but the model of the collectible, and put it in the scene. And then I'm just going to put that at the same location as the apple. And then just kind of rotate the object so it's kind of looking at the camera how we want. And then I'm going to save the scene. So I'll run that and take a screenshot. And then that will become the basis of our image. Inside the textures subfolder, inside the first person exploration kit, there is a folder called templates. And inside that template folder, there's a template called inventory item image template. And that's a Photoshop template you can open up, and it'll provide you with a consistent size and frame and things like that that you can use to make all of your items appear the same in the game. So to save time, we've already made one. We place that inside of the menu inventory items folder, and we just need to change that to a sprite 2D and UI type and hit apply. Now if we go back to our demo scene and we click on our object here, this demo collectible, down here in the item image field, it says none sprites. What we need to do is assign our new collectible image in that field, and then we'll apply that to our prefab. Now if I run the game, go over and grab this collectible, when it's in inventory now, I see this nice image that we just collected along with the item name and the description, so we have a full field. And if I click on that object, you can see the whole drop and consume options are all grayed out. I can't do anything with those because we didn't check those checkboxes in the inspector when we made this specific prefab for this inventory object. Lastly, we want to test that the new inventory type of object is savable and loadable. So we'll grab it and just kind of move it and then save our game to make sure that its position is saved. So if we load our game, it's saved, it's on the ground where we expect it to be. Now if we put this in our inventory, we can see it's in our inventory screen. Now if we save our game again, go and load our game, it should still be in the inventory, which it is. So that's a full test that you can run on any new inventory type object you have. Make sure that it's savable and loadable and that you didn't get any errors in the console, and you're good to go.